Hi, everyone. We'll just give everybody a few minutes to get into the room. Coming in now. Thank you for joining us tonight. Just give everybody a chance. They're clicking in at a rate of knots. There we go. So while everybody's coming into the webinar, I want to thank you for joining us for a very special event this evening celebrating the Lunar New Year. And it is, as many of you will already know, the Year of the Rabbit. I'm Helen Kozlowski. I'm the events director for Oblong Books. If you don't know us, we have two stores in the Hudson Valley, one in Millicent and one in Rhinebeck, which is close to the Hudson River. The Millicent store is closer to the Connecticut side of Dutchess County. So people are still coming in, so I'll just give everybody a few moments. So before we welcome our guests, Maggie Zhu and Grace Lin, I would like to take a brief moment to acknowledge this week's tragic events in California. I wouldn't feel comfortable having this event without making mention of them, and we would like to express our deep concern and condolences, and all of us, I'm sure, send healing wishes to the families and the communities affected by this senseless tragedy. Especially tragic at a time that should have been a very joyous celebration for the community. So just wanted to put that out there and express our sorrow. Tonight's event is formatted a little differently than our usual event. We'll begin with a conversation portion between Grace and Maggie, and then we're going to follow by a short cooking demonstration by Maggie, and I'm going to pop the recipe in the chat for those of you who'd like to download it. Of course, we'd love you to buy the book, but this is our little tease, so you can see how delicious all of her recipes are. Please leave questions for Maggie or Grace in the chat or in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and we'll get through as many of them as we can after the demonstration. So now I'd like to welcome our guests. Maggie Zhu started her website Omnivore's Cookbook in 2013. Born and raised in Beijing, she moved to Austin, Texas in 2015 and is now a full-time New York-based blogger, writer, recipe developer, and photographer. Having grown up with a mother who always did the cooking, Maggie's culinary adventure started in 2007 when she moved to Japan and needed to learn to cook to survive. Learning and sharing Chinese food has become a way for her to connect with her roots and the rest of the world. And her mission is to help more people get to know real Chinese food and expose lesser known regional cuisines to a broader audience. Her new book that we're celebrating this evening is entitled Chinese Homestyle: Everyday Plant-Based Recipes for Takeout, Dim Sum, Noodles, and More. And Grace is holding it up there so you can see it. It's available in both our stores and through oblongbooks.com, as well as your local independent bookstore, I'm sure. Maggie's joined tonight by New York Times best-selling, award-winning children's author and illustrator, Grace Lin. Grace won the Newbery Honor for her book, Where the Mountains Meet the Moon, and the Theodore Geisel Honor for Ling and Ting. And her picture book, A Big Mooncake for Little Star, which you can see right there on the screen next to her, was awarded the Caldecott Honor. Grace is also an occasional commentator for New England Public Radio. She's a video essayist for the PBS NewsHour and a speaker for the popular TEDx talk, The Windows and Mirrors of Your Child's Bookshelf. She's also the author of the picture book, Bringing in the New Year, which is perfect for this time of year for little ones. And her new book, Once Upon a Book, which she wrote with Kate Messner, is due out on February the 7th for Little Brown Young Readers. And that's available to pre-order from our website now. And you can visit Grace online at gracelin.com. Welcome, Maggie and Grace. I'm going to disappear and hand things over to you.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and happy Lunar New Year. I know that for many of us, this was kind of a mixed Lunar New Year with the Monterey tragedy. But I wanted to just say that a really important quote that I was told was that joy is an act of resistance. So tonight, I think that we're going to have a lot of joy with Maggie Zhu, and she's going to spread a lot of joy with her delicious food. So yay, Maggie.
Hey, well said.
So Maggie, how did you celebrate the Lunar New Year?
So my family's tradition is we cook a lot of dumplings on the New Year's Eve. It's I'm from Beijing, so it's really a northern tradition to make dumplings and eat them because it's bring fortune and prosperity. So for my family, it's really special because we gather together at my grandma's place. Like everybody traveled really kind of far because my family, we have to travel like 3 hours to drove to her place, and like my uncles and aunts, and like we have like about 20 people, like cousin, just like a really big family gathering, and we start from preparing the doughs from scratch, and like prepare the filling, and everybody work together as a team, like kind of rotate. It's just, some people can be just like standing nearby and chat and just catch up, and some people will be like working on it. And once a batch is done, and we just boil them and then share the plate immediately. So it's kind of like an activity from afternoon that goes into the evening, where we also watch the Chinese New Year shows from the TV, and just like really chat and enjoy the food. And then we do a little bit of firework after that. So that's my like New Year's Eve. Really like my family's very special thing. And on New Year's Day, we make a big spread of food that has just like everything, all the proteins, like one dish from each protein, whole fish, seafood, side dishes, appetizer and noodles and everything.
Oh, that's so interesting. Dumplings was a big thing in my family too. But what was interesting is that you said you made the dumplings and you boiled them. Like we always had them fried, and my mother said that we had to eat them fried because these dumplings symbolized gold coins, right?
Yes.
So the symbol,
gold. Yeah.
Because of the shape. So
yes.
The shape, the boat-like shape of the dumplings is a lot like what the gold ingots look like back in ancient China. Like when we say gold coins now, everybody thinks it's like pirate doubloons, but back in ancient China, it was like a
bar, like a boat bar.
It was like a boat shape.
Yeah.
Yes, it looked like a lot like the dumplings we eat. But she always said it had to be fried, so it'd be the same golden color as the gold.
That makes so much sense. That makes, or making like the silver.
But the idea being like the more dumplings you ate, the more you'd get for the gold you get. So that was so the dumplings was a really big thing in my family as well, and that's something that I've kind of carried on with my daughter. The other thing that we ate that was always a big deal was the fish. Now that's something I have not carried on with my daughter because I find cooking the fish very difficult. But did you have the whole fish at your house?
Oh yeah, it's very I think it's more about finding the fish. The cooking itself is like you need like a giant pot of fish.
It's like having a big
you have this very special thing just for the fish. But and for me it's like finding fresh fish that is suitable for this dish, because you want something that is kind of small and young and fresh. And like it has to be like really, really fresh fish, otherwise it's just not gonna work. So for me, I kind of adapted, like for on my blog, I have a lot of recipes that use fish fillet. It's like an adaptation, but it's not the same.
Well, I think that's great though, because I think it you do have to adapt for this time. I mean, it's just not realistic really for so many of us to get a big fresh fish. Though, I mean, it is symbolic. I remember when my mother would serve the fish, and I was a very Americanized Asian American, and she'd serve the fish with the head and the tail still on it, and I'd be like, "Oh, Mom," because here in the United States, when you go to a restaurant, they give you a little white square of fish, and like not with the head and tail on it. But that was another really big thing about how the fish symbolized abundance, and you had to have the whole fish so you could have all your
and you cannot flip it. You know that you have to poke the from behind, like down. You cannot flip the thing. It's not lucky. So very important.
So those were some of the things that we ate. So you had the fish as well, with the special flipping and all that stuff, right?
Every year.
Yes, that was the big thing. What I think was interesting about what you said though was what we would do is that we'd have a big meal with all the dumplings and the fish and all those things on Lunar New Year Eve. And then the next day, Lunar New Year, we were supposed to, though we didn't always, we were supposed to have like a vegetarian meal. Because the idea being that you ate all this rich food on Lunar New Year, that you know, you're supposed to like kind of cleanse your palate. And also, I think it's a Buddhist tradition where you don't eat any meat, like you don't eat, like you eat all vegetables, because that would bestow like good wishes on you, because you're being so virtuous by not eating any like animals and things for the first day.
That's so interesting, because I didn't know the detail, but I do know that, you know, we always serve Buddha's delight, which I also have a recipe in the book. It's like this giant vegetable stew. You know, it has like everything, all the good things, and the bamboo shoot, the Napa cabbage, the vermicelli noodles, and the mushrooms. And it's just like so delicious, and it's like always like a big. I think probably people condense the vegetarian eating into one dish instead of having the full meal.
Well, that's why I was so happy to see your cookbook, because it's pretty much vegetarian dishes in here. And I was like, oh, I could use all of these for Lunar New Year Day.
Yeah.
I was curious if you chose to make it mainly vegetarian. Like, did you have any, was the lunar, but this, you didn't have that tradition at your place. So you didn't have.
We don't, but it's something I actually picked up later on after I come to the US. So I got married, and my husband, Thomas, he is a runner, and he trained for marathon and races. So he started plant-based meals because it helps him to recover from training faster. And I kind of went along with it because I was always kind of intrigued with this idea. And I really liked it, because I feel like, you know, by kind of constraining the ingredients, so you explore different way of like preparing food and ingredients. And I think I found out that vegetarian eating make me feel really light, and I don't feel like very sleepy or exhausted during the day. And also, you know, like in Chinese culture, we eat so much vegetables. For me, it's like, oh, I love to have a lot of vegetables, and I want to explore more of how to prepare all these delicious ingredients. So that was the start of it. And then after we moved to New York, we started to eat at, you know, there's more like Buddhist restaurant in New York. There's like this huge selection of great vegetarian. Actually, a lot of them are vegan. And I was like really blown my mind, because I was like, wow, there are like 200 things, and they're all like originally meat dishes. And they made it in a way that is like so delicious, and the texture and the flavor is just like really amazing. So I just thought this is a really fun topic to explore.
Yeah, and I think that is what's so wonderful about this book. I'm a little surprised that it wasn't inspired by like the day one of Lunar New Year, but I think even not, maybe it was inspired like subconsciously somewhere, because I think this really is perfect for those who celebrate Lunar New Year, who want to eat all vegetarian for the first day, or maybe for every day. Because what you've done is you've really like taken so many recipes, so many traditional recipes, and you've really like figured out how to make them taste just as great by using vegetarian.
I do. I designed the book in mind with like, you know, I hope everybody would try something from it. Now, if you're not vegetarian or vegan, because I have a lot of friends and readers. They cook more vegetarian meals these days because maybe they have family members or friends who are vegetarian, or sometimes they're like, oh, we just want to add more plant-based meal into throughout the week. So, you know, we eat healthier. So that's my hope, to make, you know, like when you want to like cook with really delicious produced vegetables, make something, you know, I want to help them make something really tasty.
That's great. And I think, and also it's just good for the environment too, like to eat
for sure.
So I have to ask before we go to the cooking demonstration, what animal year were you born?
Rat.
You're born in the year of the rat. Oh, so that means you're very, so it's, if I remember correctly from the story, that means you're very ambitious and you're very clever. Is that correct?
Kinda. Also, maybe. How are you? What
I was born in the year of the tiger. So
nice. That's a great one.
The thing is, so the story is the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac and the race.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know the story, the Jade Emperor has this big race. And there's a huge river in between his home and the earth. And so he wants to make sure all the animals come to his party. So he tells them the first 12 to arrive will get the gift of a year named after them. And so all the animals try to get across, and the first 12 get across, and each one has a year named after them. And each one gets across in a certain way that kind of explains how, that kind of exemplifies their personality. And the rat was the one who got across first, and he was a little crafty about how he did that because he's a very small animal. He should not have been one of the honored animals to got across that water at all, but he was very smart and crafty, and not only was he one of the honored animals, he was number one. So they say that if you're born in the rat, you're very ambitious and you're very clever. Now, I'm born in the year of the tiger, and the tiger is an animal that does not like water, but the tiger did not practice or do anything ahead of time, and did not, like some of the other animals had like worked together, they made a raft together, they had friends. The tiger didn't do that. So the tiger just went into the water and depended on his strength and himself to get across. So they say the tiger is very strong, very independent.
That's
very
really good. Yes,
but
that's
they
great.
also say that the tiger takes a lot of unnecessary risks, and the tiger is not a very good planner.
Can we find this story in your book?
Oh, yes.
Is that the Chinese New Year book?
That story is in my book, The Year of the Rat. So, but those stories you can find everywhere. So, but I just had to ask that because I was just so curious. And I saw the cat in your background, and I know in Chinese culture there's no Year of the Cat, but in Vietnam, in Vietnamese culture, they do have a Year of the Cat. So that's always very interesting.
Since we actually briefly mentioned zodiac, I also want to mention that I do notice that on your website you have those like craft paper cut. Yeah, I found them really, really great because that's one of the things I did growing up. Like it's really, really fun. Like I did that with my parents. You know, we got those like red papers. Yeah. And then we buy those like, you know, pre-made patterns like that you can like make like, you know, you put them on and then you carve them. You know, some you can cut by scissors. Some you can use like a little carving knife. Like I did a lot of those like crafty things, and they're really pretty. And you can give, like you can make them and you put on your windows. Like it's like really nice pattern, or you can give it to friends as a gift. Yeah, so if any of you have kids at home, you can go to my website, and I have patterns on how to make a Chinese paper cut for those for the Year of the Rat. So thanks for the shout out, Maggie. Yeah. Excuse me. But Maggie, you are going to show us. Yes. I'm going to cough. So today I want to show how to make the bamboo stuffed yuba roll. So the yuba roll, I actually want to jump into that before I start cooking. It's a type of tofu product. We call that in China. So pretty much it's made with soybean nut water. This specific product is pretty much the ingredients that you make for tofu, but it's a different production process. So you can have those, you know, you can buy those things and they come in sheets. So it's kind of like really thin. So they're like papers. And then you can stuff it and making those dumplings. And that is what I'm making today. And in so it's actually a traditional dim sum, and it's usually called mock duck or mock chicken, depending on the dish, because some has no stuffing and some has like, they're all kind of have like prepared differently. And what you do is like, because those are like really thin soy sheets, so you stuff them with some vegetables and fold them. And when you cook them, those layers kind of, they puff up a little bit, and then the outside become like a kind of crispy. So it's kind of like, you know, like a grilled chicken texture wise. So it's bamboo shoot and mushroom stuffed yuba rolls, right? Yes. So for anybody who has the book, it's page 113. Yes. So go ahead, Maggie. Yes, and then it has, so the main ingredients are the mushroom, carrot, and the bamboo shoot. So I already cut them, but if you're prepping from the start, you have to soak the mushrooms and then, you know, until they're tender, and then cut them into strips. And for the bamboo shoot, I want to mention that if possible, like I know here in the US, we like to get those canned bamboo shoot. It's like really convenient. You can find them pretty much everywhere. But if you're already traveling to Asian market, try to find those like whole bamboo shoot. I actually want to put it, like I want to show you how it look like. I have here in my fridge. They're like this really, those called boiled bamboo shoot. You can find them in the refrigerator section. And sometimes it's like just displayed in a giant like box. Like really, they have like a much nicer texture, and it just tastes fresher than the canned one. So for the sauce, it's really simple. It has a little bit mushroom soaking water for the nice earthy taste. Light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, some sugar, and sesame oil. For the soy sauce, I like to use the Pearl River brand. This is my favorite soy sauce. I use both the dark and the light here. So if you're not familiar with the variety of soy sauce, the light soy sauce is really similar to the regular soy sauce, but the dark one, like you can see, so this is the light, this is the dark. So if you can see, like if I kind of like wiggle it around, I don't know if you can see those on the screen. You can see the dark one. It started to grabbing onto the glass because it has like those like it has this thicker texture and it has like a very light caramel taste. So when you use this in a dish, it can make your sauce like a dark brown color, which is usually what you see in a restaurant brown sauce. It has this darker color.
So you can really taste the difference between the two.
Oh yeah, it's like sweeter. It's sweeter too. So yes, so it's really simple, just as those few ingredients. So I start by I'm going to mix those sauce together, so the white and the dark, sugar
to make your year sweet.
Yes, I feel like Chinese cooking, I feel like almost all the sauces, there's always a little bit sweet, like sugar in it. It's like it balances out things. Even when you're making
salty, right?
I know, because even a sauce is like savory. Like maybe you don't even taste the sweetness, but you add like just a dash of the sugar. It kind of really rounds things out. It balances things out. It's very important.
Yeah, it gives it kind of like an extra layer.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a really, really simple sauce. Like I don't even need a cornstarch to use a thickener. So it's pretty much I just like later on boil in the pan and it kind of thicken itself, become like a thicker sauce. So I will start by making the stuffing. It's a really quick stir fry. So like it's really to like slightly cook the ingredients and with aromatics so they're more flavorful. So I'm gonna use this.
So why did you choose to show us this recipe today, Maggie?
I think it's so this is not my tradition, but I think this is quite important for Lunar New Year celebration in like in south part of China, because it's like a type of dumpling, and also like we just said before, like it's when you're doing a vegetarian feast for Chinese New Year, this is one of like a very traditional like a appetizer that you can serve. So it's kind of like a dumpling.
Yeah, I was curious because they're when you fry them up, they kind of look like spring rolls when they're fried up. We serve those at the Spring Festival because they're supposed to kind of symbolize like bars of gold.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that's the same thing. There's like supposed to symbolize bars, especially with the carrots in the inside, like that gold, like that orange.
Like this is like really like those are lucky ingredients.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the bamboo shoots, of course, the bamboo shoot is symbolic too. I think it's supposed to be like long life. I think if I remember correctly, it's actually I think I wrote it down somewhere. It's supposed to it sounds like a phrase for like wishing everything will be well. So it's like a good wish.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. My Chinese is not good enough to say it in Chinese. Do you know how to say it in Chinese, the phrase?
You mean the bamboo shoot?
Yeah, it's the bamboo. It's bamboo shoot. It sounds like the phrase wishing everything will be well in Chinese. Does that sound correct?
Are you talking about in Cantonese? Because I only know the Mandarin. It's like Zhu.
Yeah, so it
I
could
don't
be
know if that's like the same.
it could be the
French you're talking
Cantonese
about.
version.
Yeah, could be.
This is obviously, this is not something I knew. This is something I actually learned while researching foods.
Yeah, I need to look into that actually. So yeah, I'm just quickly gonna say, I first start with just quickly sauteed ginger to release fragrance. I'm gonna cook the mushroom, because it was dried shiitake mushroom, and so it usually take a little minute to make it like really nice and brown. And then also I want to mention that when you're preparing like vegetarian filling like this, I do tend to like, because I remember my recipe used 2 tablespoons of oil. It sounds like a lot when you're just making those very few ingredients, but it make a difference. It makes it taste really good, because when you use dried ingredients like those dried mushrooms, they actually soak oil, and but it gave it a very nice texture. So just make sure to use.
Are you
enough
using
oil for
high
that.
heat there? Is it high heat?
I'm using medium high.
Okay.
Not super high, because this is it's not needed. I think medium high heat. Like I started with like really high heat, but I tuned it down a little bit. So so now I'm adding the carrot and the bamboo shoot. It just take a really quick minute to kind of soften it and make it fragrant.
I also wanted to tell our viewers that if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please put it in the Q&A so that we can I can address them to Maggie at the end after she's done making her delicious meal. So please put all questions in the Q&A. So just a reminder there.
Okay, this is pretty much good. It's really a light cook, because it will cook again once I wrap them and cook in the sauce. So I try to just make it, I'd say like an old dante texture. It's like softened and coated with the aromatic oil with the ginger, and it's like smells really nice. But you don't have to cook it like until it's like cooked through. So I'm gonna transfer this into a plate.
So do you ever have problems? One of the big problems I have when cooking Chinese food is I get a lot of smoke, and it makes the smoke detectors go off. Do you have any tips for me on how to make that not happen?
I do not recommend this practice, because when I renovated my kitchen, I moved the smoke detector really far. Do not do that. It's like, at your own risk.
The tip is remove the batteries.
The tip, like, that's so funny that you mentioned it, because really one of the important thing in the Chinese kitchen is that you need a good ventilation.
Mm-hmm.
You need a very good vent that goes outside, like not the one with the filter, which is really the most common one in the US. You have to do the one with the pipe that leads it just lead the smoke out.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing, whenever I try to, even like for apartment, like right now this is our home, but we used to live in all those apartments. The first one thing when I try to rent apartment is that this kitchen has to be separated. It cannot be an open kitchen that goes into like living room or other room, because it's really smoke up your house, like smoke up your entire house. But it's like it's like grilling, right? It's just like really smoky. And it's so funny, because when we got this place, my contractor is like, oh, because we're renovating the whole thing, they're like, oh, you should open this kitchen up, like over floor plan, it's like resale value, like blah blah. And I was like, no, I'm gonna close it up, I'm gonna add a door. So like literally I'm like doing the opposite. I added a door. There was no door. I was like, no, it has to be a door so I can close it, and the smoke won't get up. So that's actually one of the things, like I promote, like for on my website, I always suggest people, like you can stick with a skillet and without a wok. You for someone who just getting started, because I think wok cooking is not suitable for all the kitchens. When you don't have a like powerful enough stove and a powerful enough vent, it's like I just don't think you can do it properly. Like I think a good skillet really can make a lot of delicious dishes. yeah, that's what I think. Do you use a wok at home?
No, mainly because it causes too much smoke.
Right. That's where you get the wok hate, the smoking. And if you don't have the smoke, you don't have the taste, the wok taste. So
But we did for a little bit, and then it just was causing too many smoke alarms.
I know. It's it's a really it's an issue. So I'm gonna start with the wrapping because I'm actually letting this ingredients cool down for a second before I
Yeah,
start
could
to
you
wrap
bring
them.
that closer to the camera so we can get a good look at it?
Yes.
Oh, nice. That looks good. I feel like I
Smell,
can smell it.
I no seasoning, nothing, because the sauce is strong enough, so I don't feel like I need to season this. Otherwise it's going to be salty. But like just smells really good. Because you have the shiitake mushroom, you have the like mushroom umami, and the carrot like slightly sweet. It's actually really nice. And by the way, sorry, I totally forgot about adding green onion. In the stir fry, I'm gonna add at the end, but this is supposed to be added earlier. I just forgot. This is why when I'm actually a lot of times when I'm prepping, I like to read recipes and see how how you add things in order, prior cooking. And I usually put things together in one bowl, so you don't forget. Like this should totally goes into the one bowl with ginger. Less bowl to wash later, and you don't forget. Like this is like I just forgot. So yeah, let's start making those rolls. So I want to show you, like, you see, this is a stack of the yubashi that I took out from the package, and you can see, like, like they're really thin. Like I can peel this off, and then it's like a paper.
Yeah,
It's
I
texture.
never knew that it was called a yubashi. I was talking about that earlier. Like, I think we always called them like tofu, pressed tofu.
It's actually did I show the package? So it's called soil skin.
Yes,
Chinese.
that's right. Soya skin.
Dough pea. It's like
Yeah.
soil is dough and that's pea. So it's the same like soil milk, because it's the same. It's pretty much. So if you make soil milk at home, you boil the soybeans and you blend them and heat it up and let it cool down, and filter out the soil. The soybean, like those like brown beans. And if you let it cool down, it starts to form this layer on top. Like when you cool down milk, it starts to have this film on top of the soy milk. That's what it is. It's pretty much just that.
There's a couple of questions. I was just checking the Q&A that might be better for us to address now while you're cooking.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody asked, do you have to add the sugar? I think she was talking about earlier when you were adding the sugar, and I was saying for a little sweetness. So do you have to?
Yeah. I think it tastes better. I mean, it serves two purposes. One is to because it's a brown sauce. Like if you only have the soy sauce, it's just like this salty taste.
Mhm.
I really think the sweetness really add a lot to the sauce. And the other is when you use sugar, it thickens the sauce better.
Mhm.
Because for this one, I don't use a cornstarch. I mean, you can. I feel like if you really feel like, oh, you cannot have extra, sugar in your diet, which I totally understand. You can use like sweetener, like whatever, like stevia or other type of sweetener that you that replace the sugar. Usually they have on package like, oh, like 1/2 teaspoon kind of replace like 1 tablespoon sugar, that kind of thing. But then I think I would add a little bit cornstarch to the sauce, just to like, so it's thicken it at the end.
Nice.
And another thing is like, for if you don't like regular sugar, I personally sometimes when I cook Chinese food, I actually use a little maple syrup. Like it's slightly healthier. It's still sweet. It's still like sugar, but I think it's slightly healthier, and it's actually like it tastes really good with a lot of Chinese sauces.
Yeah, I've done that before too.
It's
I
really
feel like
good.
it tastes good. Yeah.
because I got a lot of questions to replace sugar with honey.
Oh.
I think honey is hard. Honey has a very strong taste.
Yeah.
So it depending on the sauce, it might get a little bit weird.
Especially if you use the very light maple syrup. I think
that's totally fine.
All right. So now you're placing
So actually I didn't show you later. So this is actually 2 layers of yubashi. They're really, really thin.
Now,
So
do you
I
just
like,
put it, when you put the stuffing in, is it just like a little pile, or are you making it?
yeah,
like
I use, it's kind of like, you know, I put it on the like lower third. It's like a little pile, but you should pack them, you know, so they're not like like a lot of space in between. About 2 tablespoons of filling. Yeah, kind of like longish because you want to make the roll. So what you do is to just, it's really easy. You just fold them and tuck it up, and then you roll it like making. Is this a spring? No, never mind. Spring roll is different. So it kind of, yeah. So it becomes this roll.
But it is very similar to spring
It's
roll.
similar.
Yeah. So can you somebody ask remind us what's in the filling again?
It's a carrot, mushroom, shiitake, dried shiitake mushrooms, and bamboo shoot.
Well,
So I'm
both, I
gonna-
know the shiitake mushrooms and the ginger that you put in, those are both like symbols of longevity, because they used to be used as medicine a long time ago.
Yes, they're all very lucky ingredients. I just want to quickly show you. These are like 2 layers. You see how thin they are? So I like to use 2 just because it can give them like a nicer texture, and they don't really fall apart, but I think it just has a nicer texture. And sorry about my cat, like they're allowed to go to anywhere they want. So I'm gonna just make 3, because the recipe makes 6.
Your cat might eat one of them.
They don't. No, she likes mushrooms. She actually eat my mushrooms. But usually they don't. They're not very interested in the vegetarian dishes.
What is your cat's name?
Oh, so her name is Penny. I have 3 cats. They haven't. Yeah, I don't know. Like I heard someone coming by, but I don't know which
So
one.
you can give each one a yuba roll if they were willing to eat the vegetables.
They usually don't like the vegetarian.
Too bad. You're
Yeah.
missing out, Penny.
No, you cannot step on this. So so the recipe makes 6. I'm gonna make 3. Yeah.
Do you think you could show us how you roll that? Like maybe come a little closer?
Oh yes, let's do that. Let me see. Can you see here? Yeah. Better?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, that's better.
And maybe go really slow, so that way if I try to roll it myself later, I'll be able to do it.
So this is the filling, 2 little pile.
About 2 tablespoons.
Yeah,
right?
this is real. I feel like it's real. I think this recipe has a lot of room for you to improvise, because you can make it slightly bigger and small. It's because sometimes it's called vegetarian chicken. So this is vegetarian duck.
Mhm.
The vegetarian chicken does not have any filling. It's just layers of yuba roll and like it's braised in the sauce. And they're like, I feel like you can also use different filling, because I served this dish to my vegetarian friend. She just loved it. She's like discovered it after she discovered this ingredient. She's like just getting them nonstop, because she just make like whatever vegetable, like vegetable stir fry, like it can be like slice of cabbage or like whatever you have. And she just stuff it and roll it together and make it. Like I feel like you can totally use different things to experience, because
Okay, so first you do the long way.
So I do the long one folding up, and then both sides fold it in, so it just covers the whole thing.
Okay.
And then you roll it up, go up.
Great. And it just stays rolled like that. I know when we did dumplings, we'd always have to put like a little water to like.
No, it kind of has this like little sticky. It's not sticky, but it kind of just stay together. But there is the folding part that has this thing. You put it on like downwards, and they kind of like glue together when you fry them in the pan. So it's really convenient.
So somebody in the chat asks, have you ever tried it with the plant-based chicken? So because you were saying how you're saying this is.
I mean, I didn't try with this one, but I'm pretty sure. Like almost like it's 99% sure you can. Like that's like totally. It's going to be very good. I think. Yeah. Like a medium texture, Like I feel like you can even do something like crumbled tofu and all that. Like I'd say between the vegetables, if you want to add a little bit of tofu or like cut them into slices. So one thing I like to get is like the baked tofu. These days you can easily get them at grocery stores, and you just cut them and put it in, like cut into stripes, and it will add a little bit more protein. I'm actually gonna make one more.
So is
and then I'll
this
start browning it.
duck, the duck taste of this, is it like a roasted duck or like a baked duck of the taste of this?
I mean, it's like I think it's supposed to mimic the roast duck,
Okay.
because it gets crispy and the inside is tender.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Like the one last one, I'm just gonna fry them. All right.
Is that peanut oil?
Yes, this is. Do you use this brand? Is this? Do you use peanut oil in your cooking?
We do use peanut oil. I don't think we use that brand though. I'm trying to remember what brand we use.
It's yeah, but it's the one from Asian market, right? It's not the regular, because I think like usually if you buy from regular grocery store, it has a lighter color, and usually it's like a blend. It's not like 100% peanut, because peanut, like this is called pure peanut oil. It's like very it's 100% made with peanut, and the color it's like kind of running really low. It's God. It has its golden color.
Oh yeah,
like a pretty nice, like a very nice golden color, and it's very nutty. If you smell it, it smells like peanut butter. And it's one of the slightly expensive oil, because it's like it has more expensive ingredients. But I like to use this in my cooking, because of the nuttiness, and it stands really high smoking point. So,
someone asks, do you know how to make this gluten-free?
this is cool. So the yuba sheet is gluten-free. The vegetables are gluten-free. The soy sauce, you just have to use tamari, I think.
Oh yeah, you use gluten-free soy sauce. Yes, then it would be gluten-free.
Yeah, and I would you will lose a little bit. You will lose some color, because the dark soil is not gluten-free, and there's no really gluten-free dark soil. So pretty much you have to use the tamari to replace both. I would consider to add a touch of cornstarch. I think it would thicken better, because tamari is. I don't actually know, because the sugar will help. No, I think it's fine. Yeah, but the color will be lighter for sure. And personal note, I do not usually use coconut amino to replace soy sauce, because I know a lot of people use that. I've seen on all the like a lot of vegan website and gluten-free website, they use coconut amino, but I tried it. I found it's too sweet. So it usually doesn't work, because you have to adjust a lot, like sugar and other things. Otherwise, the taste wise, it doesn't work.
Somebody on the question and answer asked if they could see the soy wrapping, and if you could repeat the brand name again.
Yes. So this is the one. Yes. So I think it's HOMESTYLE brand. So the HOMESTYLE brand is actually a pretty big brand.
Okay.
They by the way, they have really great noodles. Like they have like those amazing like fresh noodles that's sold. Usually is Asian market, H Mart, usually H Mart and like Chinese market, they have those like refrigerated and like very good quality noodles. It's a HOMESTYLE brand, and this is from H Mart. But I think a lot of like if you go to like Asian market, Chinatown, a lot of like even I think it's also a Japanese thing. So maybe Japanese market has it too, but maybe if it's in Japanese market, it's probably under a different name. It's because in Chinese it's soil skin, but in Japanese it's God, I'm overcooking it a little bit. In Japanese it's called yuba sheet. Okay. So it will be under a different name. And I think I remember seeing Whole Foods carry a brand called It's
Yeah.
a whole food brand.
Yeah, I think that they're carrying a lot now. Like I think David
Yeah,
Chang.
they,
the
I
whole,
think
like,
they have yoga. Like, I'm sure they have yoga. Yeah,
so
yeah,
so
yeah.
how long?
Don't cook like this. This one is overcooked. Like it
Oh.
should be like fried until golden.
Sorry, I distracted you.
No, it's fine. Like it's high heat. Only take a minute to brown. But can you see like? Oh, I'm gonna take it off. You know, like it kind of pop up a little bit,
Okay,
and it's like it gets crispy.
okay.
It's like a really interesting texture. So yeah, these are good. So I'm gonna pour in the sauce now.
Ooh,
Actually, do I pour in the sauce? It'll double check. Yep. Pour in the sauce now. So this kind of breaks it. You know, it's like you can say it kind of defeats the purpose of making them crispy, but eventually it still will have like a slightly crunchy texture, which is really nice. And this sauce, because you know, like I said before, because of the sugar in it, it will like thicken up like so, you know, without using the cornstarch.
Someone asks, do the soy wrappers always have to be cooked, or can they be used right out of the package, like spring rolls, you know, fresh spring rolls? I think
it's edible, but I usually prefer it cooked like a little bit because like literally it takes 1 minute to cook through it. Like one way I'd like to use it is to in my book I have eggless egg drop soup. So what I do is I cut those like those soy skins like you know into thin and put them in the soup. It's like it has those like egg ribbon look and it tastes really good.
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
So yeah, it's one of my favorite things in soup because it literally take 1 minute to cook and taste it because it soaks up all the flavors and it has this really nice soft texture that I think it's slightly more flavorful than using tofu. Yeah. So this is doing nicely. Can you see it?
Kind of.
Kind
a
of.
little bit.
Yeah.
How long do you cook it with the sauce?
Very like 2-3 minutes because you know it kind of thicken up really well, and you know when you're braising it, it also cooks through the inside. It gives the inside more flavor. So you kind of want the sauce to be a little bit thicker at the end.
I bet you it smells great.
Yeah, it's really great. It's very simple. Oh yeah, I do remember. I think my friend tried to use it because like for me it's like I use those yoga sheet in a very traditional way, but I did think my friend put them in the air fryer, and it's like it crisp out. Like I think she made some like wrap something inside and put in the air fryer. It's like a vegetable thing, and it's just like you know spray a little bit oil and they become like a crispy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. All right, I think these are done. All right. So I'm gonna put them in a plate and then I'll move them closer so we can cut one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah. So usually this it makes 6. So I only make 4. And so the sauce ratio is a little bit off. Usually at the end you should get like kind of like just enough sauce to coat everything. So I will let it cool down for a second and then I'm gonna cut through it and we can see what's inside.
Great. And so would you serve that? What would you serve with that? Like say you were having people over for dinner and you're gonna have that.
So this is itself is actually appetizer. So usually it's like served before the meal or like you know like on the side of the meal as one like you know it's a multi-course dinner and it's like the small thing. But I think if you're it depends. I think it's also really nice on rice. If you're just like making maybe one or two things for yourself, I would like sort of top it on the rice. It's like very tasty because the sauce is like this, like savory, like slightly sweet, but it's very savory.
And this is on your Omnivores cookbook blog, right?
This is not on the blog. This is in the book. This
This
is
is on
not
the
on
book. Okay.
this is all on my blog.
So you have to get the book.
Yes.
But there are many recipes on your blog that they could have to serve with this.
Yes. Yes.
So what recipes on your blog would you recommend for them to serve with this?
With this. I think a fried noodle would like imagining if you're creating like a like a
Like a
multi-course
Lunar New Year
meal.
dinner.
Yeah. I would definitely do a noodle dish. Like I think that's like either you like chow bin or chow mein, any one of those would work really great. I would do another vegetable dish, like just vegetable, like and I feel like very simple things like Chinese broccoli and oyster sauce. In the book I use the vegetarian oyster sauce, which is a mushroom sauce. It gives you this very like it's pretty much the same effect. Because because when I put it together, I imagine so I consider where the dish is from because this is Cantonese dim sum. So usually I wouldn't pair it with like maybe northern, but not Sichuan food. It's like I wouldn't pair this
We
with
keep it
something like
regional.
wouldn't do this with something spicy.
Uh-huh.
Just because I don't know, it's just culturally it doesn't really go together. But you can, but usually I would just pick from Cantonese food, like Cantonese noodles, and like the Chinese broccoli and oyster sauce. And I think if you're making for Lunar New Year, with that one is not vegetarian on my on my website, but the turnip cake. Turnip cake is like very, very good.
And it's kind of dim sum too.
It's a dim sum, and then you can prepare it ahead of time and fry it before you serve it, and it's a very Lunar New Year thing.
Yes.
We made it this year, so like
nice.
my friends play with it. We actually serve with northern dumplings, like a mix. And what else?
Someone asks, did you flip them or keep the top crispy? That's what somebody asked.
Oh, I flipped.
Okay.
To braise both sides, but you can. I know what you're like. I think if you want to keep the top very crispy, you can keep them crispy. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't wait to see them up close.
Yeah. Unfortunately I overcook a little bit, so it's a little bit more brown than I prefer, but it's nice. So that's the see. So
Oh, yummy.
yeah, so it has this, so it has this soft, little bit chewy tofu wrapper, and the inside is those like colorful vegetable, a little bit crunchy, a little bit soft, and it's nice.
Nice. And full of good luck colors for the year. The gold.
And as a dim sum, I think this is one of the easy ones. Like it take a minute, but it's not like super hard. Like it's definitely easier than dumplings, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's less time consuming. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe the
dumpling is hard. Dumpling is hard. Dumpling take time. This is nice.
What was nice about that was like how you folded it. It was so simple. Like dumplings, I feel like you kind of have to.
Oh yeah. It take time.
You need to know the skill of the dumpling.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
All right, so that's awesome. Oh, somebody wants to know what brand and size of pan are you using? So
I have this is a OXO, the OXO non-stick, which I like, and I also want to show you this. I have this little. This is a carbon steel little flat bottom wok. I really like this one.
Oh.
This is this is the buyer, and they have really great non-stick pans. So I have this. I have another one. I have a 12-inch skillet. It's kind of under. So it's like it's like just like more like a flat skillet, and it's bigger. And I use that to cook a lot of my stir fry too. This is like really small. I think this is the good size that heat on a, when you have like a regular gas stove at home, like not the super strong restaurant one. This is the one that you can get the flame really like wrap around the pan, that you can make really good stir fry. But this is like small, that you can cook for like, this is like a 2-person size. I tried with my I tried my big one, those like round bottom, like the big one on my gas stove, and it still doesn't work. And this is actually a pretty good gas stove. So I still personally agree with like, large skillet. I can show actually. Let me pull that out. My skillet, I have like very small collection because I think that they're like plenty. This is the bigger one. It's also the carbon steel, and this is one of the. These two are the one like the one I use like very frequently.
You have to have strong muscles for those cast iron ones.
I know that this is lighter than cast iron. That's why I like the carbon steel. So it's still kind of heavy. Like I feel like, oh, if you want to do this, it's like when there's food in it, it's like I need to use my both hand. Like I cannot really do it, but it's lighter. Like it's like I feel like it's maybe a third or half of the cast iron pan weight, but it's still like heavy enough to hold heat. Especially, I feel like the flat one, the big one. If what you have is like a electric stove, it's flat, so that is your best bet, because you have like a very big contact surface, and you get the pan really hot, and then it still hold the heat really well.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have about 3 minutes left. There's a couple more questions here that I want to make sure that I don't miss. Someone asks, have you ever visited the Chinatowns in Montreal, Toronto, or Ottawa? Because unfortunately, they cannot access the mala market from Canada. I'm not sure. Have you ever? I think they're asking. I'm not quite sure, but I think they're asking if you have any recommendations of the Chinatowns.
I do not. I haven't been there. But I mean, so I think you can find dried chili peppers. Maybe they're not. I think not. Don't Mala Market ship internationally? I thought she shipped internationally.
I actually I use a Chinese grocery market called
Deliver.
Yeah,
I know. I use them.
Yeah, I use them. Yeah. Like we.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're in Canada, I don't know if they have that.
There's also Yummy Buy. Like I buy mooncakes from them someplace, and they're like, I think they're like Hong Kong, and so that would be international anyway. So
I think chili pepper is like, maybe the quality is not that good, but if you can find, I feel like the thing is like there are so many different like brands and packaging. It's kind of like hard to just point out like this one brand that is good, that where you can maybe find in your Chinatown, because they all kind of carry different brands. But I think by observing the package, try to find the things, like the pepper that are kind of full and bright and red, not like super dark and like withered. And of course, like when you open it, when you smell it, like the fresh ones really make a difference, which you cannot tell from the look, but when you open it, you can kind of tell, like by smelling it. It's like the fresh ones that has this really fragrant, nice, smoky, like just like a really, really nice taste, like a nice smell, versus some like when it's stale, it's like not very good. But sorry, never been to Canada Chinatown, so
sorry, but hopefully someday.
Yeah.
Helen, can you tell me if I have missed some questions? Let me know, because I'm trying to scroll through and I'm not sure.
Let me take a look. Oh, well, I can answer this question, Camille. Is it better to purchase the book through Oblong Book site versus Amazon? I want to support the publisher if it makes a difference. Well, you will be supporting the publisher and the author wherever you buy the book, but I would put in a plea to please purchase it from an independent bookstore. If you live in the Hudson Valley, we would love for you to buy it from Oblong Books. If you don't live in the Hudson Valley, and just look online and see if you have a local independent bookstore. Amazon makes its money by discounting books tremendously. And it's much, much better to support a mom and pop or your local independent bookstore if you can. I have put the link to order online. We ship all over the country. Just let us know, and we would be delighted to ship you a copy of Chinese Homestyle. So that's answering Camille's question. And thank you, Patricia, for, for reiterating that. Oh, there's somebody here, Grace, who lives in Amherst, Alicia Chin Gibbons. Do you see that question?
Oh, yes, I see it. Yes.
Yeah.
She was asking about Asian markets in our area because I live in Western Massachusetts near Amherst, and I go to the ones that I shop at is Trans World Market. I think that's the one she means, the Asian market on Route 9 near the bridge. Yeah, that's the one I almost do shop at exclusively. She was asking if I recommend any other Asian markets. Honestly, I shop almost there, and if they don't have it, I usually if he can't get it in for us, then I get it from what we were saying, we market or Yami buy.
But yeah, I also use Umami card. I like that one a lot, like because they have they have a really interesting product, and usually they have really good brand called Umami card. If you're in, especially if you're in East Coast, I'm sure they deliver. Next day deliver, I think.
Somebody's asked a question about what about using cast iron? I mean, does it make a difference to the?
Oh, I mean, you totally can. I think it's a great tool. It's pretty much it's heavier than the carbon steel. So personally, I don't use it because it's really, really heavy. It's just take more strength to handle it. Yeah, but I mean, it's great. Like I think it's great. Yeah, skillet to use.
And somebody was asking about the recording. Yes, Alicia, you can. We are recording this evening's program, and we will post it to Oblong Books YouTube channel tomorrow morning. So you can. If you go to oblongbooks.com and go to this event on the website, there will be a link to the YouTube recording and you can watch it again. So I think that's all the questions that we have. Having another quick scroll through to make sure we haven't missed anything. No, I think that's all. If anybody has a last question, the time to ask it is now. Yeah, so I can I've looked through this book, and absolutely every recipe is mouth-wateringly delicious, and I can't wait to cook them all, being a huge Chinese food fan. Well, I'd like to thank Maggie for a great demo, and Grace for moderating and chatting us through the demo. That's wonderful. Thank you both for joining us. It was lovely for us to be able to do this event to celebrate the Lunar New Year. Before we close, I'd like to thank Harry Backman, who helped make this event possible, and to remind you all, you can get your copies of Chinese Homestyle and pre-order Once Upon a Book or any other of Grace's titles at oblongbooks.com. Thank you for spending your evening with us. So now I'm going to hope I say this correctly. Xinyan Kuai.
Good job. Yes.
Happiness and prosperity to you all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Bye.